These are the stories
My little girl, she's changing lives just by being herself.
of organizations and people making a difference.
When you first tell someone about adaptive wheelchair boxing, it doesn't sound real.
And empowering others
It saved my life. It saved my life.
across Canada
I scored my first goal in my first blind hockey game.
in our community.
Swimmer, take your mark. Go! 11, 12. Good. Nice big movements.
"15 seconds to go. Keep pushing here."
There's not many places like the Steadward Centre. Like, we really are hard pressed to think of another example here in Canada. We're focused on sport and recreation and exercise because we have a whole range of folks experiencing disability. It's a really special place for people to go. My name is Jen Leo, and I'm the director of the Steadward Centre. The Steadward Centre is a teaching and research centre housed within the Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation here at the University of Alberta. We provide sport, physical activity and recreation programming for adults, youth and kids experiencing disability. We provide play-based and physical literacy programming, fitness and exercise, and then on the sports side we offer para-swimming and para-athletics, so track and field, and then we also do strength and conditioning for athletes who take part in any sport. We're celebrating 45 years this year, which is an incredible length of time to have this significant impact in the community.
In the early days, this facility was called the Rick Hansen Centre, but I'm so thrilled that it's finally been named after the founder and my good friend, Dr. Bob Steadward. I'm Rick Hansen. I'm the founder of the Rick Hansen Foundation, an organization dedicated to removing barriers for people with disabilities so they can achieve their full potential. There was a period of time when the Steadward Centre was really struggling and also reaching to go to the next level. And Bob suggested that perhaps I could lend my name so that there could be a little bit more energy and attract broader support to help get over the hump and go to the next phase. I was happy and honored to be able to apply my name, but always in the back of my mind was there's going to be a time when that name comes full circle, because he can run, but he can't hide.
My name is Bob Steadward, born and raised in Eston, Saskatchewan. Being a very small town, you were engaged in everything. No matter whether it was football, hockey, baseball, track and field, you participated in everything. I always, excelled in academics. My strengths were more math, physics, chemistry, biology, and the sciences area, and that continued through my academic training at university as well. I took a great interest in the scientific aspect of physical education, looking at the physiology of exercise, kinesiology, biomechanics, anatomy, and the like. And so I felt I needed to go on beyond my undergraduate.
Bob's love of sport led him into physical education at the University of Alberta, but it was something he witnessed when he was younger that helped shape his academic future.
I was influenced by my grandmother, who had a stroke, which left her paralyzed and she was unable to talk. And that certainly had an impact on my life, which sort of led me to working more with people with disability later on in my career.
Hi, Cyril.
Hi, Miriam.
How are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, I'm okay. Your bike is all set up.
Okay. My name is Cyril Hofmeyer, and I've been coming to the Steadward Centre now for a year, trying to just get my upper body strength, since I'm working with a wheelchair. I'll do upper body strengthening, core muscles, with the medicine balls, bench presses, rowing, just get my stability better.
While working, Sarl was in a helicopter crash, which left him with a severe spinal cord injury and paralyzed him from the waist down.
When I woke up in the hospital, my wife was there. We were, hugging and crying a bit, and we discussed the future. And I just said to her, you know what, I'm content in being in the form that I'm now. Because I'm still alive, I can still hug my wife, I can still hold my son, you know. And the Steadward helps me a lot with that, because if I can come here and I can work out, I know that I can get my physical fitness up, so my wife doesn't have that to worry about as well.
Sarl's one of our participants. He's in our FES program. FES stands for Functional Electrical Stimulation.
I use my wheelchair to wheel up to the bicycle, then they hook up my legs to the machine, and then they will put electrodes on the muscle areas that we're going to stimulate. The machine will take over the function of pedaling. The instrument will then stimulate the muscle masses with electrodes and electrical impulses. In the beginning, I couldn't pedal at all, but now, after doing it for a year, I can actually increase my speed for a short time on my own. And that, I mean, that gives you more confidence to try harder, you know. Looking back to a year ago, you know, I would be concerned crossing the parking lot because there's cracks, where now you can negotiate big terrain. And if it wasn't for the Steadward Centre, I think it would have taken me longer and it would have been more difficult to achieve, you know, where I am now.
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, welcome Paralympic athletes, welcome world to the 11th Paralympic Summer Games, Sydney 2000.
In the Paralympic sporting movement, Dr. Bob Steadward is a legend. He's famous because of the accomplishments that he's achieved and ultimately the kind of impact that he's had in developing sport for athletes with disabilities around the world.
Due to his outstanding achievements over the years, Dr. Steadward has had the privilege to meet world leaders and dignitaries like Bill Clinton and Princess Diana. But when he's back home at the center, the attention can often be focused on him.
When Dr. Steadward arrives here, it's kind of fun to tag along with him because he's a celebrity. And it's amazing to walk through the halls with him. Members come up to him and they always want to take their picture, and I find myself taking photos of him, less than with him. And you know, people appreciate the impact he's had because he really has created this community for people with disabilities.
But when Bob first started his career, that community looked a lot different than it does today.
The time back in the early 60s, it was very difficult for a person with a disability to get around the community. First of all, a lot of them lived in institutions and hospitals and extended care centers because they were unable to live at home and live a so-called normal life, let alone training to become an outstanding world-class athlete.
But Dr. Steadward was motivated to generate real change. He went on to create the Alberta Wheelchair Sports Association and then wrote a paper that began the foundation of the second largest sports organization in the world.
That paper, when you trace the history, eventually became known as the International Paralympic Committee.
Bob wrote this incredible paper that ultimately galvanized the passion and crystallized the potential view of what that would look like. If it wasn't for Bob, the existing modern Paralympic movement wouldn't be the way it is today.
My name is Brittany Volkman and I'm a wheelchair racer with the Steadward Bears. So I grew up on a dairy farm and I have spina bifida, so I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. And I grew up in a really small town, so I was the only one in a wheelchair, so it wasn't really much sports that I could do. Just watching all of my siblings play sports, watch them play basketball and volleyball, and I had to sit on the sidelines. But then my brother, that is 2 years older than me, went to provincials for track and saw wheelchair racing, and he's like, "Brittany, you should do it." And then we heard about a Try It Day at the Steadward, so then I came out and tried it and fell in love with it. So wheelchair racing is like running. You do it on a track. You have a separate wheelchair that you use, and it's super fast. You put gloves on, and then you just like punch the wheels. And then there's like a little lever you hit for the corners. I've like practiced twice a week at the track, and then I do like strength training and like core workouts.
The specialized coaching and training Brittany receives at the Steadward Centre is already starting to pay off.
Lane 5 from Alberta, Brittany Volkman.
I got silver last year at Nationals, and then I've won a couple gold and a couple silver at like Western Canada Summer Games and then Canada Summer Games. Wheelchair racing is a lot of fun. I like the speed.
There are some athletes who just love to run. They just love to wheel, and so our para-athletics program offers a range, from wheelchair racing to sprinting to field events, and they train a couple of times a week throughout the year. It's a very robust athletics program.
This robust athletics program is helping to train and inspire the next wave of Paralympic hopefuls.
With a winning time of 5:28.05, congratulations to Brittany Volkman.
Being in the Paralympics would be pretty cool, but yeah, it'd be a lot more training and hard work to get there.
The International Paralympic Committee is the world governing body for all sport for athletes with a disability. At the present time, the International Paralympic Committee offers both winter and summer Paralympic Games. And within those games, there's more than 20 different sports.
The Paralympics is huge. There's more and more countries who are recognizing the importance of providing spaces for para-athletes to compete and to develop, so it gets bigger every year.
Swimmer, take your mark. Go!
Ever since I could swim, I've just always wanted to get in the water.
Isla Robley is a competitive swimmer for the Steadward Bears Para-Swimming Club.
When I'm in the water, I'm just very carefree, and gravity doesn't really affect me in the water. I can do flips and turns without the constriction of the ground.
Isla's biggest supporter is her mom, Vanley.
Isla's always loved swimming as a kid. She's always said, "Mommy, I want to take swimming lessons." So when she said she was interested in competing, I asked for suggestions, and most of that time it was, "Oh, it's not available to someone of her abilities." I had a precipitous birth, and it was a traumatic delivery. She ended up sustaining an injury to her left arm from the OB pulling on her head. And as a result, she had a brachial plexus injury, and it limited her mobility. We knew that if she was going to compete competitively, she needed to be in a program with people and coaches who understood what her limits were and how to work with what she can do.
Good, looks good, looks good. So we're gonna keep working on those flips. Nice and fast, get that arm pulling you around, and keep your feet together, your knees together, and don't cross them.
The coaching is really one-on-one. Everyone has their own needs, and the coaches work around that.
Isla's excitement for the sport has brought her to a local swim meet, which has Mom just as excited.
Go, go, go! Yay!
To see her swim, and she's really strong, it just makes me a proud parent to do something she really loves. And then I always ask how she feels, and she's like, "Oh, it's great, I love it."
I hope to at least get into provincials and then possibly the Paralympics. And it always just excites me to know that there's that possibility now.
We now believe the way has been paved for our Paralympians to make their mark on sporting history and to achieve their best performances ever. Good luck to all of you.
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community. By the mid-1970s, Bob Steadward had already established himself as a leading voice in the Paralympic sport movement. He wrote dozens of papers and helped establish multiple disability sports associations, but he knew they needed a place to train.
I was still very much concerned with accessibility to training centers, opportunities for athletes with disability to have proper equipment, to have proper facilities. So as a result, I just felt it really important that if we can't get access to facilities to train, then I'll build one myself.
So in 1978, Dr. Steadward started the Research and Training Center for Disabled Athletes. And that was the beginning of the Steadward Centre. And so that was really a chance for athletes to start training and to get the experience that they needed.
Not only was it unique for the University of Alberta because they ended up becoming the leaders in our country dealing with disability, accessibility, and inclusion, but this centre became unique in the world. In fact, it was the only centre that existed in the world providing those opportunities for people with a disability, and it has gone from that stage to become now a reputation that's respected worldwide.
That worldwide respect came with global interest to learn what exactly was going on in Edmonton.
We have had both undergraduate and graduate students come from all over the world to study with me academically, to work in the city, to be involved in research projects, and to be involved as instructors with the people that are members of our center.
All right, let's get started. Do you want to get your interval set up first?
I will. Okay, let's do our workout. My name is Sherry Whitey, and I come to the Steadward for my regular workouts. I have primary progressive MS, and so it really helps with my strength, keeping the disease at bay to some extent, and giving me extra energy and strength to help me with daily living. Until coming to the Steadward, I had very little experience with gyms, and so this was kind of new to me. And really overcoming it for me really had to do a lot with the staff.
Nice, Sherry, these are good. How are they feeling?
Heavy.
They look really, really good. She's a participant in the PALS program. Stands for Physical Activity Led by Students. Individuals come, they register, they get one-on-one support with a student volunteer. They learn from each other throughout the term. It's a learning experience for the student, and the participant also gets that one-on-one support.
All right, reaching up nice and high. Big, big pushes here. Nice work, Sherry.
I do weights, I do a ski erg, which is one of my favorites. The ski erg is a tall structure like a pillar. It has handles that come off the top, and you pull down both with your shoulders, your arms, and your legs, and to get kind of a full body workout.
Everything looks good. Keep it going.
Okay. When I come to the Steadward, it's one of my happy places. I always leave here feeling better, and being active has really helped reduce my fatigue, which often comes with MS. But it's also strengthened my body so that I'm more mobile and to keep me living a better life.
Nice big pulls here. Great work, Sherry.
From speaking to people, the impact of the Steadward Centre it's everything. You know, folks who are newly injured, receive a diagnosis, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do with their time. And so by coming to the Steadward Centre, it gives people a purpose. It gives them a way to take care of their bodies. Plus, when you wrap that up in this incredible community, it's a really special place for people to go.
It gives you that community and that feeling of you belong. You always go away from the Steadward Centre feeling good.
I always look forward to coming to the Steadward Centre because the atmosphere here is just very welcoming and everyone's just extremely kind.
The Steadward Centre is the place of inclusivity. I wouldn't have had a place to train, or I wouldn't have made the friends I've made without them.
Well, I think Dr. Steadward has provided us with a centre, and his advocacy in the disabled community have made this centre really flourish. And I think just his foresight in establishing a place like this has been phenomenal.
Gary McPherson was a good friend to Bob, a polio survivor, and an advocate for the disability community. Together, they looked over a parcel of land, and Gary shared Bob's vision to build a world-class facility. Gary went on to make significant contributions to the center as he later became chairman of the board.
We thought, this is our dream. This is where the Steadward Centre could be built. And we both have proven that dreams do come true, because now we have a world-class center that exists today. If little Bobby Steadward in the 40s could see me today, it would be an interesting story.
You know, there never was anything like the Steadward Centre. It was an innovation, a first of its kind, and Bob was always that kind of guy, problem, solution. I think the problems really helped drive Bob to think about solution and bring people together to be able to make it a reality. He's a true pioneer and a tremendous legacy for our country and for the world. What a gift.
Producers, Rebecca Campbell, Frederick Croach. Disability consulting producer, Daniel Ennett. Directors, Daniel Ennett, Frederick Croach. Camera, Frederick Croach, David Puff. Production audio, Jesse Luce. Editor, Patrick Kelly. Production manager, Rebecca Campbell. Production assistant, Danielle Brochu. Narrator, Mark Phoenix. Graphics, Andrew Antonello. Integrated described video consultant, Ron Rickford. Supervising producer, Jennifer Johnson. Content development specialist, Jim Crisco. Director, programming, Lizanne Gagne. Director, content development and production, Kara Nye. Vice President, Content Development and Operations, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Catapult Pictures, Inc. Copyright 2023, Accessible Media, Inc.
An AMI original production.